Welcome back to the Whole Bible series. This week we are in the book of Song of Songs. So Shir Hasharim is part of the writings in the Tanakh. In our Bible, Song of Songs is part of the Old Testament poetical books which include wisdom literature. The name Song of Songs comes from the first sentence in the book. It is what the author of the book calls his love letter. It is also known under various other names like Song of Solomon, Best Song, and Canticles, which comes from the Latin Vulgate. For more information, please go back to episode 21. Song of Songs is the 22nd book of the Bible. So who wrote Song of Songs and when? And while the author of Song of Songs is not clear, both Hebrew and Christian tradition typically attribute this book to Solomon. It's often dated to the middle of the 10th century. So let's look at a quote here from the ESV Study Bible. The problems of authorship and the date are closely entwined. The inconclusive nature of the book's title further complicates the matter. The phraseology of the title verse or the superscription may be understood variously as of, to, for, or about Solomon. Thus, the title may imply that Solomon was the author of the poetry, that it is dedicated to him, or that it represents songs composed about him as the primary character in the action. Although Solomon's name occurs 6 times elsewhere in the book, and other scripture attests to his literary skill, these references assert nothing about his authorship of this book. Instead, they merely confirm Solomon's role as a key figure in the story. An example of this is the interpretation here to the left of Song of Songs 1, verse 1. The ESV has the Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. However, if we do a direct interpretation, it says Song, the songs, that of Solomon. Therefore, it could be by Solomon, for Solomon, about Solomon, or writings of Solomon. Again, for more information, go back to episode 21. So what's the purpose of this book? Survey of the Old Testament says the love poetry of the songs celebrates the male-female relationship established by God at creation and the goodness of human sexual love expressed within the confines of God-ordained marriage. ESV Study Bible adds, like other wisdom literature, the Song of Solomon assumes that the covenant God of Israel is the one true God, maker of heaven and earth. The purpose of the redemptive covenants is to restore fallen damaged creatures or mankind to the proper functioning in their humanity. Therefore, obedience to the Lord's commands is the right way to enjoy the world God made. And it also displays to the rest of the world how refreshingly attractive it is to know the true God. The picture of 2 lovers in the Song of Solomon is an ideal one, as are the character portraits in Proverbs. The picture provides the pattern into which God wishes to shape his faithful people, which is also the pattern towards which they will freely give themselves to be shaped. Themes in the book itself are God's covenant, marriage as a gift from God, and the positive dimensions of human love. I'm going to give you a minute just to read this disclaimer. This episode may or may not be suitable for your children, depending on their age. So please note that and either have them leave the room or pause this for a later time if you feel that it may not be appropriate. Song of Songs is broken into 4 sections. Here we have the dating of the Song of Songs. You can see it, just this little black mark here, the little arrows to the left. Uh, it dates it approximately between 960 and 931 BC. This happens to be from the time of Solomon's beginning of his reign to the end of his life. And so it is likely written sometime during that period. Let's get on to the first section. Chapter 1. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Your anointing oils are fragrant. Your name is oil poured out. Therefore, virgins love you. Draw me after you. Let us run. The king has brought me into his chambers. All right, so let's stop there. As we're getting into this, just a couple notes in here. Let's start here on the bottom. So in the purple, you'll notice that it says she above this section, and that go down here to the purple box. It says the translators have added speaker identification to help the reader. These are identified based on the gender of words and the number of words used. These headings are used in many modern translations. So as we go throughout the book, and probably in the translation you have also, you'll notice that there's different titles ahead of these sections, which addresses who is speaking in the poem. So here in the beginning of chapter 1, we have she. Down here at the bottom, we have in the red box just a note that says the king has brought me into his chambers. And down here it says the statement, the king has brought me into his chambers, may be rendered as a request. May the king bring me into his chambers. In this sense, she was expressing her desire for intimacy and marriage with the lover. This matches the first part of 1, verse 4. Take me away with you. In summary, this opening soliloquy suggests that physical desire is a characteristic of romantic love, and that properly channeled, the desire is good, not evil. There's also a note here to the left from the Bible Knowledge Commentary. The song begins with a soliloquy by the beloved in which she first expressed her strong desire for her lover's physical affection. The rapid interchange between the third person, him and his, and the second person, your and you, is confusing to modern readers, but it was a regular feature of love poetry in the ancient Near East. The statement, your love is more delightful than wine, means that his physical affections were exhilarating, refreshing, and a great source of joy. We'll continue with verse 4. We will exult and rejoice in you. We will extol your love more than wine. Rightly do they love you. Let's jump down here to the bottom real quick. We see that this section is led with others rather than she. Let's look to the brown box. This is the first speech of others who function like a chorus. They join the shepherdess in her praise for the shepherd. So continuing on, verse 5, back to she now. I am very dark, but lovely, O daughters of Jerusalem, like the tents of Kedar, like the curtains of Solomon. Do not gaze at me because I am dark, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept. Tell me, you whom my soul loves, where you pasture your flock, where you make it lie down at noon. For why should I be like one who veils herself because the flocks of your companions, or beside the flocks of your companions? So just a note here on the left, kind of talking us through this. The beloved suntanned appearance revealed that she worked in the fields. This made her feel insecure among the city dwellers, and in particular the women of Jerusalem. She compared her dark skin to the tents of Kedar, which were made of black goat's hair. Her explanation for her dark appearance was almost an apology. Because of hard outdoor work in the vineyards required of her by her brothers, she was forced to neglect the cultivation of her own vineyard, that is, herself and her appearance. Verse 8, now we get him into the mix. If you do not know, O most beautiful among women, follow in the tracks of the flock and pasture your young goats beside the shepherd's tents. I compare you, my love, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. Your cheeks are lovely with ornaments, your neck with strings of jewels. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves. So let's go here to the left first. The words a mare harnessed to one of the chariots of Pharaoh is literally a mare among the chariots of Pharaoh. Stallions, not mares, were used to pull chariots in antiquity. A mare, therefore, among the chariots might well start a chaotic experience. The point of the comparison is that in Solomon's opinion, she was as beautiful and sought after as if she were the only woman in a world full of men. And down here regarding doves, the lover returned her praise by commending not only her beauty, beautiful occurs twice in this verse, but also her tranquil character. In antiquity, doves were noted for their cleanliness and tranquility. Chapter 2. I am the rose of Sharon, a lily of the valleys. As a lily among brambles, so is my love among the young women. As an apple tree among the trees of the forest, so is my beloved among the young men. With great delight I sat in his shadow, and his fruit was sweet to my taste. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Sustain me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am sick with love. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. Over on the left from the Bible Knowledge Commentary, she compares herself to common meadow flowers up here when she says she's a rose of Sharon and a lily of the valleys. But he elevates her by calling all others mere thorns in comparison to her. Then a quote, these three things, protection by her lover, intimacy with him, and obvious displays and expressions of love from him, are crucial factors that enable a woman to develop a sense of security and self-worth, and thereby to enjoy a stable marriage. Chapter 3. On my bed by night, I sought him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. I will rise now and go about the city. In the streets and in the squares, I will seek him whom my soul loves. I sought him, but found him not. The watchmen found me as they went about in the city. Have you seen him whom my soul loves? Scarcely I had passed them when I found him whom my soul loves. I held him and would not let him go until I had brought him into my mother's house and into the chamber of her who conceived me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, by the gazelles or the does of the field, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. So, just a note here at the bottom, chapter 3 begins a section of a dream from the shepherdess. So, she's now dreaming. In this dream, she anticipates her consummation of their love. And this dream may continue through the beginning of chapter 6. A note here from the Bible Knowledge Commentary on the left. When a person loves another deeply, it is natural to fear losing him or her. In her dream, she lost her lover and sought to find him. The repeated expression, the one my heart loves, once in each of these four verses, revealed the depths of her love for Solomon. In her dream, she went to the city to look for him, but she was unsuccessful. When she found him in her dreams, she took him to her mother's house, the most secure place she knew. Off to section 2. Chapter 4. Behold, you are beautiful, my love. Behold, you are beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair is like a flock of goats leaping down the slopes of Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes who have come up from the washing, all of which bear twins, and not one among them has lost its young. Your lips are like a scarlet thread, and your mouth is lovely. Your cheeks are like halves of a pomegranate behind your veil. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built in rows of stone. On it hang 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that graze among the lilies. Just a couple notes to the left. In verse 2, all her teeth are present, which was not so common occurrence in the ancient world, and and attractively matched within her mouth. So her teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes. He's referring to the fact that she has nice teeth and that they all have twins, which means that all of her teeth are there. Down to verse 4. By comparing her neck to the tower, Solomon was emphasizing not so much her neck's symmetry and beauty as he was making a statement about her person. She had a queenly appearance and bearing, as awesome and majestic as King David's tower. Continuing on. You have captivated my heart, my sister, my bride. You have captivated my heart with one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. How beautiful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much better is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your oils than any spice. Your lips drip nectar, my bride. Honey and milk are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. A garden locked is my sister, my bride, a spring locked, a fountain sealed. Your shoots are an orchard of pomegranates, with all choicest fruits, henna and nard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with all trees of frankincense, myrrh, and aloes, with all choice spices, a garden fountain, a well of living water, and flowing streams from Lebanon. So first, here's just a note that she is not his sister, uh, but 5 times he calls her sister. And this is because in the ancient Near East, sister was an affectionate term for one's wife. Then down here to verse 12. The garden locked up, spring enclosed, and sealed fountain, all suggest inaccessibility. The king was obviously praising his bride's virginity. Gardens were walled to keep out intruders. Springs were sometimes covered, and fountains were sealed. Similarly, she had kept herself sealed from all others, thus preserving her purity for her husband. Down chapter 5, verse 10. My beloved is radiant and ruddy, distinguished among 10,000. His head is the finest gold. His locks are wavy, black as a raven. His eyes are like doves beside streams of water, bathed in milk, sitting beside a full pool. His cheeks are like beds of spices, mounds of sweet-smelling herbs. His lips are lilies, dripping liquid myrrh. His arms are rods of gold, set with jewels. His body is polished ivory, bedecked with sapphires. His legs are alabaster columns, set on bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as the cedars. His mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and he is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. There's a quote here, from the ESV Study Bible about verses 14 through 16. The continued description of the man refers to precious materials that are often used in statues and in the temple, such as gold, jewels, ivory, alabaster, and cedars from Lebanon. The man is thus clearly an object of great praise in this section. The woman considers him to be altogether desirable. Down to chapter 6, verse 4. You are beautiful as Tirzah, my love, as lovely as Jerusalem, awesome as an army with banners. My dove, my perfect one, is the only one of her mother, pure to her who bore her. The young women saw her and called her blessed, the queens and concubines also, and they praised her. Who is this who looks down like the dawn, beautiful as the moon, bright as the sun, awesome as an army with banners? I went down to the nut orchard to look at the blossoms of the valley, to see whether the vines had budded, whether the pomegranates were in bloom. Before I was aware, my desire set me among the chariots of my kinsman, a prince. So a note here on the left from verse 10, dawn, moon, and sun all reflect the woman's radiant beauty. And verse 12, when the husband's first words in the garden were words of praise, she became enraptured. She was beside herself with joy. Down in chapter 7. How beautiful are your feet in sandals, O noble daughter. Your rounded thighs are like jewels, the work of a master hand. Your navel is like a rounded bowl that never lacks mixed wine. Your belly is a heap of wheat encircled with lilies. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are pools in Heshbon, by the gate of Bath Rabbim. Your nose is like a tower of Lebanon, which looks toward Damascus. Your head crowns you like Carmel, and your flowing locks are like purple. A king is held captive in the tresses. How beautiful and pleasant you are, O loved one with all your delights. Your stature is like a palm tree, and your breasts are like its clusters. I say, I will climb the palm tree and lay hold of its fruit. Oh, may your breasts be like clusters of the vine, and the scent of your breath be like apples, and your mouth like the best wine. It goes down smoothly for my beloved, gliding over lips and teeth. I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. A couple notes on the left, verse 7. It was not uncommon for a person with elegance to be compared to a palm tree. In the Bible, women actually bear the name Tamar, which literally means palm tree, uh, and are noted to be sensually alluring. Down to verse 9. B, the beloveds used the same image of wine from 9a to 9b to express her desire to satisfy her husband's wish for her. And on to the third section. Continuing on in chapter 7. Come, my beloved, let us go out into the fields and lodge in the villages. Let us go out early to the vineyards and see whether the vines have budded, whether the grape blossoms have opened and the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes give forth fragrance, and beside our doors are all choice fruits, new as well as old, which I have laid up for you, O my beloved. Oh, that you were like a brother to me, who nursed at my mother's breasts. If I found you outside, I would kiss you, and none would despise me. I would lead you and bring you into the house of my mother, she who used to teach me. I would give you spiced wine to drink, the juice of my pomegranate. His left hand is under my head, and his right hand embraces me. I adjure you, O daughters of Jerusalem, that you not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. All right, note on the left first. This is the first time in the song where the beloved made a direct and unambiguous request for sex. Previously, her desire has been expressed in the third person. Now, having grown more secure in the love of her husband, she felt free to initiate the lovemaking. So she asked him to go to the countryside where they could spend the night together. Mandrakes, plants similar in size to apples and red in color, were supposed aphrodisiacs. And down to chapter 8, verse 1, where she mentions brother, this verse seems to indicate that in Israelite culture, romantic kisses were to be reserved for private context, while the kiss of family affection was deemed appropriate in the open. Therefore, she's not saying she wants to kiss him because she wishes he was her brother, but rather she wishes that she could kiss him in public like she could her brother. And off to chapter 8 to finish the book. Verse 8, we have a little sister, and she has no breasts. What shall we do for our sister on the day she is spoken for? If she is a wall, we will build on her a battlement of silver. But if she is a door, we will enclose her with boards of cedar. When I was a wall, and my breasts were like towers, then I was in his eyes as one who finds peace. Solomon had a vineyard at Baal Hamon. He let out the vineyard to keepers. Each one was to bring for its fruit 1,000 pieces of silver. My vineyard, my very own, is before me. You, O Solomon, may have the 1,000, and the keepers of the fruit 200. O you who dwell in the gardens, with companions listening for your voice, let me hear it. Make haste, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of spices. All right, just a note here to the left to try to explain this. The beloved grew up in a home where her older brothers made definite plans to prepare her for marriage. If she displayed good character and judgment and resisted temptation, therefore being a wall, then they would allow her a large measure of freedom and reward her. But if she were reckless and prone to immorality, like a door, then they planned to restrict her freedom, figuratively spoken of as enclosing her with cedar panels, like barricading a door with planks. And down to verse 10, the beloved's own testimony is that she was chaste. Therefore, she was a wall. Therefore, she did not need the restrictions her brothers suggested. And so we come to the end of the book. And just kind of wrapping it up, let's look at the conclusion from the Bible Knowledge Commentary. The Song of Songs is a beautiful picture of God's endorsement of physical love between husband and wife. Marriage is to be a monogamous, permanent, self-giving unit in which the spouses are intensely devoted and committed to each other and take delight in each other. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. The Song of Songs shows that sex in marriage is not dirty. The physical attractiveness of a man and a woman for each other and the fulfillment of those longings in marriage are natural and honorable. But the book does more than extol physical attraction between the sexes. It also honors pleasing qualities in the lovers' personalities. Also, moral purity before marriage is praised. Premarital sex has no place in God's plans. Faithfulness before and after marriage is expected and is honored. Such faithfulness in marital love beautifully pictures God's love for and commitment to his people. So that's it. We wrapped up the book. Hope it wasn't too confusing for you and we kind of helped you figure a few things out. If you have questions, we'd love to hear them. Thank you for joining us and have a great night.